Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Secretary, good to see you.
Thank you. Good morning.
First, applaud you. You actually have a booklet on your website that's very detailed on the budget process. It was very well done, very well put together. So I just wanted to applaud you and your staff for doing that.
I would thank and recognize my staff for that work.
Yeah, it's good stuff. So. Obviously, we're talking about performance-based budgeting. The IFO obviously released a report on their findings. It's just one of their charts. We have them up next. Their assessment of our current budget process is as follows. Quote, most states continue to use an incremental budget approach where appropriations are not tied to specific goals or objectives. Rather, appropriations are motivated by amounts from the prior year with adjustments for agency workload, in some cases, inflation. Although states recognize the value of performance-based budgeting and performance measures, the great majority only use that system to augment the legacy budget process that has been in place for decades. The Office of the Budget publishes an agency performance data on its website, and select measures appear in the executive budget. However, it is widely perceived that the measures have very limited impact on the allocation of funds within or across agencies. The current budget process continues to closely resemble an incremental approach, and performance measures are rarely considered during the budget process. The Commonwealth has developed significant performance measures infrastructure, but remains underutilized. They further go on to say, for Pennsylvania, performance measures are widely viewed as a management tool as opposed to a budgeting tool. Moreover, performance measures are generally used to evaluate requests to increase program funds rather than facilitate and inform overall resource allocations. While these measures provide data points that may be informative and provide background, most are not indicative of agency or program performances, and they have limited potential to improve resource allocation. I went back and pulled corrections booklet that we receive. It's thick, it has a lot of information, but nothing in here really alleviates to performance measures through these agencies. They go through and kind of explain why and rationalize why there's increases throughout corrections department. So I guess the general question is, do you agree with what the IFO is saying about our budget process currently, and am I missing specifically and specifically any specific measures within the documents we get?
Yeah, you're holding their agency budget request. That's not the, I'm referring to if you had the larger governor's budget book, and if you had that document, you would see then of a clear page of articulated program measures and metrics that are used to evaluate program decision making in the department's budget for that particular year. There's no question that there's always room for improvement. We can't do a better job in a more transparent way to communicate metrics, program goals. That's why the governor launched the budget, the website initiative that I referred to earlier. We can't think of a more transparent way than to have each agency identify overarching measurable goals that are tracked each year with an annual progress report and indicators about whether we seem to be on track or not. But then more importantly, to align and beneath each of those overarching goals are individual metrics that really do drive individual budget decision making. We're always happy to work with the IFO and seek their input into the budget decision making process as well, as we are in working with the General Assembly. And could we do a better job of communicating and making sure everyone understands the process that does underlie that decision making process? Sure, and I think that's something that we would look to work with the General Assembly to improve upon in the future.
So within this document, let's say the Department of Economic Development will complete 130 foreign investment projects by 2020. If they don't reach that goal, would it be the departments, would you come back and say we need to reduce that funding?
That could be an ultimate outcome. And as I said in the agency budget discussions that we've already begun, and I've had the opportunity already to sit down with each individual cabinet agency, review before they actually present to us their proposed budgets for the next fiscal year, to have a frank conversation with them about the budget challenges we face and the decision-making process that they're going to use. And we're very serious. They have to begin and look at all aspects of what the agency currently does. And yes, they will always and should have initiatives for how they want to improve service or do more of this or that, but they also need to take a hard look at what they are doing now and ask the difficult question, is that really necessary or priority going forward? And should we be doing less of this or less of that so that we can do more of this that really is that priority? What those decisions are ultimately things that we have to work with you in the General Assembly. And again, I can't say enough times, the better job we do to communicate and are transparent in that decision-making process, maybe the more confidence the general public will have in the decisions that we ultimately make.
Chairman Adolph has been a stickler on this. Every year the governor comes in within their budget documents, and ag and the kind of health-related ALS and stuff is either cut or eliminated. What's the performance measures used to decide they should be gone?
Well, you bring up a good suggestion, frankly. Those, what we refer to commonly as legislative ads, are sort of outside of the executive's original or initial decision-making process and are priorities that are added by the General Assembly for the most part. However, they really don't in many cases, and I won't speak in absolutes, maybe there are some exceptions, but they don't, in most cases, have real program metrics that evaluate the effectiveness of those ads in legislative spending. And maybe we ought to do that. Maybe that's a process that we ought to begin talking about now with all four caucuses in the General Assembly to talk about a process, again, that makes those budget decisions more accountable each year in the same way that the rest of the executive budget is.
And actually, that's the goal of the underlying bill. So thank you, Mr. Secretary.
Thank you.